Welcome everyone, Christine here with very much a work in progress tier list for races in Total War Warhammer 3 based purely on your votes. My personal biases are not in this tier list, and anyone who's watched my channel for any length of time would know that I would never put greenskins in B tier. So there's going to be people that are going to be very unhappy with this, but let me be clear, I did my best to remove any kind of personal bias from this. I certainly disagree with a number of choices like Dark Elves in C, Greenskins in B, all that. But this is based on your votes. And specifically, this list that you're seeing over here, while it matches certain other data that I have in the many community polls that I've done on this channel over the last week and a half or so, the results that you're seeing here, the percentages, is based on just two polls that I've done. This one for the top 10 best races combined with data from this one, top 10 free worst races. Now, there's only like 200 or so people that have voted in this if we look at base races, 239 participants. But I do wish to stress out that a lot of this data, actually pretty much all of this data, does match a lot of the other polls that I've done on my channel on YouTube. So while I certainly could use more votes, and look, keep voting. If these results change, I'll make a final tier list based on the final results. Like if these polls get over 1K votes or 2K votes or anything like that, I can consider the matter concluded. I also wish to state regarding polls on YouTube that some people would argue that, oh, it's your community, but that's not really true. Because one, a lot of these results do go against what I personally believe and what I've been saying since pretty much day one of Immortal Empires. And two, the way YouTube polling works is you get a bunch of people that vote that aren't constantly watching your videos. It's like the way the algorithm works for that. Now, what did I do with that data? Well, I took it all, and then to remove any bias, I didn't even do the calculations. I put ChatGPT to do the calculations, and this is what it got. Like S tier, 8%, 8% races like Dwarves, Empire, Cast Dwarves, A tier, 7%, B tier, 5%, all the way to Daniel tier. I did specify to make a Daniel tier. It didn't make an F minus tier, but you do have these four races at minus 5%. So Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Bretonnia, Vampire, Coast. I admit I'm surprised by some of these results, not necessarily all of them. So let's look at the results. In S tier, at roughly 8% of the vote, we get the Dwarves, both of them. So if you're thinking, oh, Order Tide is hugely represented. No, Chaos Dwarves are a really popular race. So people do think that they're a top 10 race. In fact, for quite a bit when I initially made the poll, they were leading. But no, Dwarves win, followed by Chaos Dwarves, followed by Empire. In A tier, at just like roughly 7%, we get both Skaven and Warriors of Chaos. So not quite on the same level as the two Dwarves and Empire, but still fairly high up there. B tier, at roughly 5%, and this was the logic that ChatGPT used. Like basically, at a certain percent, be 8%, 7%, 5%, 2%, all that, it did include races. So in B tier, you get Greenskins and High Elf, is in that order. In C tier, at roughly 2% of positive votes, you get Cathay, Wood Elves, and Dark Elves. D tier, at basically 0% of the vote, you get Vampire Counts, Nurgle, and Beastmen. In F tier, we start getting to minuses. So minus votes are basically races that got very few votes in this particular poll, but got a lot more votes in the worst races poll. So that's what the data is based upon, just so you know. So at minus 2%, you get Kislev, Khorne, who's actually like minus 1% actually, but then Lizardmen and Tomb Kings, who are like over minus 2%. So minus 1, minus 2% for Kislev and Khorne, and then minus 2%, even 3% for Tomb Kings. F tier minus 5%. According to your votes, remember this, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Bretonnia, and Vampire Coast. Now, then you have the Daniel tier. I don't have Daniel in this because it would kind of ruin a couple of things. But at Daniel tier, at minus 8%, you of course have Daniel. I'm not even going to include in here, but you get Ogres and Norska. over here. By the way, Vampire Coast was almost minus 6%, so I could genuinely like argue in favor of including a Daniel tier. So Daniel was actually not the worst race, apparently. Like, it's Norska by a very, very slim margin, but it is Norska. So, subject to change as we get better results. But here's some interesting things. I haven't done necessarily a lot of racial polls, but I did do one for Chaos. And I then did a comparison between Legendary Lords of Demons of Chaos. Do you know what these two lists show? They show the almost exact same result that I got from other polls on Chaos, like comparing demon campaigns to one another, comparing Tamarkan versus Scarbrand, all that, Tamarkan winning, all that. And then, asking people which is the best Chaos race. And Chaos Dwarves winning by a lot. Skaven and Warriors of Chaos like in second and third place respectively. By the way, if you look at a community page poll on my channel, Skaven did inch ahead by just a tiny sliver of votes, but it just inched ahead of Warriors of Chaos. So like in second and third position, Skaven and Warriors of Chaos. So this data that you see from these two polls matches other data almost precisely compared to what I voted on, compared to what a lot more people, not just 200 people, like over 1,000 people, if not multiple thousands of people, depending on the poll we're talking about, what they have voted over the last few days. So this is what people think about. Do I agree with this? I would not necessarily put Bretonnia on the same freaking tier as Vampire Coast, Siege, and Sinnelleos. Let me just put it like that. I can understand the issues, but honestly, I think Bretonnia kind of would deserve a D tier. Like, that's just an example. Other things, well, believe it or not, like, so if I was to inject my opinion, where would I stand on this, really? Well, minus the fact that I hate Wood Elves and Warriors Cast, so I won't talk about those. But here's what I personally believe, just so there's no confusion on this. So I do agree about, honestly, I would probably put Kislev lower. Maybe, just barely, I don't know. But, like, I would certainly put Bretonnia at least as a D tier, if not a C tier. Okay? So I put Bretonnia at D tier, so that's why Lewin in the Legendary Lord race got the higher tier, because I expected Bretonnia to be, like, I thought Bretonnia would be liked by more people. Apparently I was wrong. Not necessarily surprised about Dark Elves, but I would certainly put them in S tier. So would Greenskin. So there would be a lot of changes over here. But that would be where I kind of stand. Like, Greenskins certainly are an S tier race. I would actually drop the Empire by a tier, replace them with Greenskins, put Cafe in B, that kind of stuff. That's where I would stand. So if I were to make my tier list, I just don't want to mess with this right now. But yeah, I would, put Cafe higher, put Vampire Counts higher, because I think, like, Vlad has got a really good campaign, but a lot of people don't agree with that. If you don't like these results, I've put the links in the description and the comment section. You can still vote. I'll still take into account. So if the results change, I'll update this. And the final version will be different, and I'll give an explanation for why I think these races, or the pros and cons of each race. I don't necessarily disagree with a lot of things. Like, I do think Dark Elves are underestimated by a lot of people. I do think, like, Dark Elves, for instance, get a bad reputation because, we hate the slave mechanic. And yet it's so weird. Like, Chaos Dwarves use the same slave mechanic, but I don't know. Like, I guess the individuality of the campaigns, or maybe it's just a resource system. Maybe it has nothing to do with slaves, and it's just like the new resource system of Chaos Dwarves. Also, dwarves. Apparently, people really like dwarves based on this. If there's any indication, like, just to give you a hint on this, like, if I look at the worst races list, like, dwarves, Empire, and Chaos Dwarves have barely gotten any votes in terms of, like, negative votes. And they got overwhelming positive votes. I mean, Skaven won against Warriors of Chaos here, because even though Warriors of Chaos got 2 more positive votes, Skaven got fewer negative votes than Warriors of Chaos. I admit, like, I'm not necessarily shocked, but, well, I'm a bit shocked at Bretonnia, to be honest. Like, of everything that I am shocked by Bretonnia. Dark Elves going solo, I admit, I know I know I have a personal higher opinion of the Dark Elves than a lot of people in the community do, so that's not really surprising. Greenskins being B tier, Yeah, that is a bit surprising. I guess it comes down to the fact that while Grimgor and Grom are highly liked by a lot of the community, Warzag, Skarsnik, and Azag are not. So worth pointing out. But by the way, actually, greenskins like Grimgor just obliterated everyone that stood in his path. So just to people that are thinking to greenskins, some people are saying, oh, maybe Skarsnik is actually better than you think. No, he's not, because the greenskin Legendary Lord poll was like Grimgor, everyone else less than Grimgor. So no, just saying that. Well, actually, Grom was second place, and then everyone else is like way below that. So no, yeah, winning the Daniel tier list for Legendary Lords among the greenskins, like basically Skarsnik, Warzag, and Izarg are either F tier or F tier minus. Just making that point. By the way, that's all I had to say. You want different results? You disagree with this? Don't shoot the messenger. Vote. And I'll see you next time.